Welcome to another episode of Bent Not Broken. Heartbreak and trauma may feel like the end of your story, but here it's the beginning of a bold new chapter. I'm your host, Coach Deborah Griffiths, and this is the space where women rise, rebuild, and rediscover their purpose. Remember this truth: you are bent, not broken. Welcome back to Bent Not Broken. I'm Coach Deborah, and today's bonus episode is inspired by my powerful conversation with Wendy Babcock, a woman whose courage and creativity remind us that even in the darkest seasons, there is always light waiting on the other side. If you haven't listened to that full episode yet, I encourage you to do so. Wendy's story of breaking free from emotional abuse, rebuilding after divorce, and reclaiming her voice is a profound reminder that healing isn't about forgetting what broke you. It's about learning to rise stronger because of it. I'm going to break this episode into 5 segments, with segment 1 being recognizing the invisible wounds. Wendy's story highlighted something that so many people experience, but they struggle to name: the emotional abuse that doesn't always leave the physical scars. She described how her partner's control slowly isolated her, monitoring her time, restricting her friendships, and questioning her every move. Coaching tip number 1: identify control for what it is. If you find yourself constantly explaining where you are, who you're with, or why you even made a certain choice, pause. Ask yourself, do I feel free or do I feel monitored? Emotional abuse often starts subtly, with control disguised as concern. Awareness is the first step toward freedom. Segment 2: redefining freedom after divorce. When Wendy stood alone in that empty trailer with her 2 children, she said something so profound. I didn't realize the feeling I had in that moment was freedom. That line stopped me, because for so many women recovering from divorce or leaving a toxic relationship, freedom doesn't feel joyful at first. It feels terrifying. Coaching tip number 2: give yourself permission to redefine freedom. Freedom may start small: watching your favorite show without guilt, sitting in silence without fear, or going to bed when you decide. These small acts are how you rebuild trust with yourself. Healing isn't about doing more. It's about unlearning the belief that your worth is tied to someone else's approval. Segment 3: reclaiming the pen. Wendy said she had to take the pen back from everyone who had written her story: her stepfather, her ex-husband, her fears. That metaphor speaks directly to one of the biggest lessons in my own work with clients. You cannot heal what you refuse to rewrite. Coaching tip number 3: write a new chapter, literally. Grab that notebook or journal and finish this sentence: when everything changed for me was when. And write freely, without judgment. You'll be amazed how much clarity comes from when you give your story words. Writing is one of the most powerful tools of recovery because it turns pain into perspective. Segment 4: from surviving to speaking. Wendy turned her story into a platform, Win Stories, to help other women share their win moments. She discovered that healing deepens when you speak your truth out loud. Coaching tip number 4: share your story safely. You don't have to share it publicly. Start by sharing it with a trusted friend, a therapist, or support group. Every time you voice your truth, You reclaim a part of yourself that silence once stole. And remember, vulnerability is not weakness. It's proof you survived. Segment 5, The Power of Listening. Wendy closed our conversation with such wisdom. We're not listening to know somebody, we're listening to respond or argue. Listen for the story. Coaching tip number 5, practice empathetic listening, especially with yourself. When those inner voices rise up, the ones that say you're not enough, you should have left sooner, you'll never heal, pause. Listen, acknowledge the hurt, and then gently replace it with truth. You are enough. You are healing. You are free. To everyone listening, if Wendy's story resonated with you, let it serve as a reminder. You don't have to have it all figured out to begin again. You don't have to be fearless to be free. And you're not defined by what you went through. You are defined by what you rise from. Take one small, bold step this week, whether it's journaling, your win, setting a boundary, or simply saying to yourself, I deserve peace. That step is where recovery begins. Thank you for joining me for this Bent Not Broken bonus episode. If you're ready to begin your next chapter, I invite you to connect with me at Broken to Boldness, where healing turns into purpose. Thank you for listening to today's episode of Bent Not Broken. I hope that this episode reminded you that even through life's toughest moments, you are bent, not broken. If this message inspired you, please share, rate, review, and subscribe, as it helps us reach more women who are ready to rise and rebuild. And until next time, keep living bold and walking in your purpose.